The story everyone is talking about in the US today, and we have the latest updates right here. Welcome to USA News. If you don't want to miss what happens next, subscribe now. Here is what we know so far. Democratic Socialists score major wins across America. Is this the future of the Democratic Party? A political movement once considered far outside the mainstream is now winning some of America's biggest elections. From New York City to Seattle, Los Angeles, and now Washington, D.C. Democratic Socialist candidates are gaining momentum, winning key races, and forcing a major conversation about the future of the Democratic Party. But are these victories signs of a national political shift, or are they limited to the country's most progressive cities? The answer could shape American politics for years to come. The latest chapter unfolded in Washington, D.C., where Janie's Louis George secured a major victory in the Democratic primary for mayor. Her win surprised many political observers. Critics had argued that her campaign was driven mainly by affluent, white, progressive voters. But election results painted a different picture. Speaking to supporters on election night, Louis George celebrated what she called one of the most diverse political coalitions in the city's history. According to her, the movement included community organizers, environmental advocates, nurses, transit workers, federal employees, janitors, Democrats, independents, and Democratic Socialists. For supporters, her victory represented more than a local election. It was another sign that progressive and Democratic Socialist candidates are becoming a powerful force inside the Democratic Party. Louis George's victory follows a string of high-profile wins by candidates aligned with the Democratic Socialists of America, commonly known as the DSA. Last year, Zohran Mamdani won New York City's mayoral race, while Katie Wilson secured a major victory in Seattle. More recently, Los Angeles City Council member Nithya Raman advanced in her city's mayoral contest despite efforts by political opponents to block her path. Together, these victories have energized progressive activists who argue that voters are demanding solutions to rising housing costs, childcare expenses, economic inequality, and affordability challenges facing working families. For many supporters, the message is simple: people want leaders who focus on everyday struggles rather than traditional political battles. But not everyone is convinced this movement represents the future of the party. Moderate Democrats are urging caution. Some political strategists argue that Democratic Socialist candidates perform well in heavily Democratic urban areas but may struggle in swing states and competitive districts where elections are often decided. They warn against assuming that success in cities automatically translates into national appeal. The debate reflects a larger question facing Democrats after years of political turbulence. What kind of leadership can build the broad coalition needed to win future national elections? It's a question with no easy answer. Supporters of the Democratic Socialist movement see these victories as proof that voters are hungry for change. Many point to growing frustration over housing affordability, healthcare costs, and economic pressures. Social media discussions have been filled with excitement from younger voters and grassroots activists who believe a new generation of leaders is emerging. Meanwhile, skeptics argue that governing is far more difficult than campaigning. They point to challenges faced by progressive leaders in cities like Chicago, where budget battles and political conflicts have complicated efforts to deliver on campaign promises. One of the biggest names driving this momentum is Zohran Mamdani. His influence now extends beyond New York City as he actively backs progressive candidates in congressional races. Supporters believe his rise demonstrates how grassroots organizing can reshape local politics and build long-term political power. Democratic Socialist leaders say their strategy isn't just about winning one election. It's about building a bench of candidates who can rise from local offices to positions of national influence. Whether these victories represent the beginning of a political transformation or simply a series of local successes remains one of the biggest questions in American politics today. What is clear, however, is that Democratic Socialists are no longer operating on the political sidelines. They are winning elections, expanding their influence, and challenging the Democratic establishment in ways that would have seemed unlikely just a few years ago. As future primaries approach and new candidates emerge, All eyes will be on whether this growing movement can continue its momentum, or whether the broader electorate chooses a different path forward. One thing is certain: the battle for the future of the Democratic Party is far from over.